What's up, YouTube? This is Brian with Where Rebels Are. We stream on Twitch 4 days a week talking about the stock market. Today's conversation topic is coming up because crypto's increasing in popularity. More and more people are looking for places on where they can go to open a crypto wallet. And there's also a significant increase in scams out there, whether it be on Twitter, on Telegram, since we just talked about that, Discord, even here on Twitch, believe it or not. Don't be shocked. It can happen. There are scammers out there looking to get your money and trying to take advantage of the fact that crypto in and of itself is already a little bit more mysterious of an investment, a little more complicated, takes a little bit more effort and research. People don't want to do research. They don't want to do their due diligence, etc. So I do have to apologize. This video is not going to be a shortcut for your due diligence, but hopefully you take this conversation forward with you in your pursuit of identifying where to put your funds, whether it is in a broker or a crypto wallet or somewhere else, how to spot the people that are trying to take advantage of you, and what is the biggest differences between them, the scams, and the legitimate sources, just kind of things to look out for. I'm also going to be sharing anecdotal information about my 19 years of investing experience over time, because these scams that they're doing currently on crypto wallets are nothing new. They've just been repurposed and repackaged. That's it. That's all the scammers have done. There are no new plays to the existing scams, just new targets. Okay, so what they're doing is they're modifying old scams in order to take advantage of this increase or influx in popularity on the crypto market, and hopefully this conversation helps you avoid some of those pitfalls. I am using smartdatacollective.com as my resource or guide to kind of walk through this. I've read through their information already. I mostly agree with what they put, so this is kind of going to be the guide that we use. You can find their link below. I am in no way affiliated to them, nor will I vouch for any information beyond just this article that I'm reading. So there you have it. Take it for what you will, but that will be included in the links down below as well, should you be interested in reviewing this source. Okay, types of scams. Okay, I'm not going to go through their introduction. You got mine. The types of scams to look out for. We're gonna work our way down this list, see how the scam is currently active in the crypto market, as well as kind of different iterations or different ways that this has worked in other markets or areas of investing in the past. So first one, fake ICOs. Okay, an ICO when it comes to crypto is the initial coin offering. This is a company coming out and saying, hey, we are going to manufacture coins or create a way for you to create coins, etc. And then they're going to get listed on exchanges. First thing you should be aware of when it comes to cryptos is not all cryptos are created equal. Not all cryptos are allowed to actually be listed or traded or exchanged on different markets. Okay, so that should be your first kind of barrier to entry. If they are saying we've got the newest, latest, greatest, most amazing coin out there, this crypto is going to change the way for all cryptos. Your speculation on this, skeptical lens, if you will, should be one of, well, where can I trade you? Where can I trade you? And if you can't answer that, like if you have to go direct to the source, that should be a big red flag. Okay, in no way should you be restricted at this point in time to going direct to the source to participate in a coin. Okay, if you are going direct to the source to participate in the coin, then you better be well aware that this is running the risk of never getting exchange access. All right, meaning that you're not going to be able to openly just trade it on a crypto wallet or exchange with other crypto investors. Okay, if you are restricted to going to the source or directly trading with people who already have said coin outside of an exchange platform, you should be aware that that's coming with a lot higher risk, and it may never actually be given real viability in the market. ICO. So here's your red flag, and this happens on the normal stock exchange too. Okay, believe it or not, there are still people out there today who are going door to door. They're knocking on people's doors saying, hey, I have shares of this new company. It's going to change the world. We're looking for early investors. It's highly illegal. by the way. Crypto being new, crypto not being regulated or classified as the same thing, isn't beholden to the same regulatory crackdowns or restrictions yet. That's being worked on, okay? Which is a big step to me that I've called for in terms of the viability or long-term success of cryptos, is they do need more oversight. Well, they're getting it, but slowly. So right now, what you're seeing in the market is this old door-to-door prospect where they used to go and try to convince people, hey, the whole aspect of door-to-door now today is, guess what, social media. Super cheap. $600 I can get in front of 20,000 people, maybe 100,000 people or more. Okay. All of which who have online at some point expressed or indicated an interest in cryptocurrency. So not only am I getting a very broad market, very cheap from a marketing perspective, I'm getting a broad market that has already indicated interest or propensity to spend on cryptos. Okay. So if I'm a nefarious actor and I want to take advantage of that, then I can go out and I can buy a Google AdWord and get my ad out there for this ICO and say, hey, guess what? This is going to be the crypto that changes the way that crypto works. And this is going to be what takes it mainstream and blah, blah, blah. Well, a non-sophisticated investor is going to look at that and say, hey, that sounds like a good idea. I've been thinking I want to invest in crypto. Why not this one? And that's how people are falling for these scams. It's not so much a coercion. It's not coerced. It's not forcing folks into a position that they don't want to be in. It is literally providing the easiest path with the shiniest picture to this person who doesn't want to put a lot of time or effort into deciding their investment. And that has not changed ever, as far as I know, in terms of scams or con artists or anything. They aren't trying to convince the people who don't want to spend money on crypto to buy money. That's not the story. They are instead trying to be the easiest path for the person who wants to spend money for them to lose their money to them in their exchange. All right. We see similar situations with that on the stock market. It's always existed. It will come out. It will get a lot of news. This is the penny stock pump and dump. This could be, for all you know, a shell company who hasn't made a dime in the last 10 years. All right. They don't have any plans for opening, but a savvy con artist will look at it and say, hey, guess what? This stock has been under the radar for so long. I'm willing to bet that I can buy a news press release for this company, get it broadcast out, and that's going to create a lot of interest in this project. Okay, nothing has changed here. People are still taking advantage of these loopholes, and the first thing that you should question when looking at participating in one of these deals, whether it be a penny stock on the stock market or an ICO or an IPO or a DCO or a SPAC, SPAC. All of these acronyms thrown at you. I know it's a lot, but IPO, initial public offering, DCO, DPO, direct public offering, ICO, initial coin offering, direct coin offering, a SPAC, special purpose acquisition group. You've got funds, right? Crypto funds, crypto collectives. They're going to have a bunch of different names, but they all have the same MO, modus operandum, same one. Okay, and that's, let's take something that nobody knows nothing about, get a lot of hype around it, get some press, few articles here and there, right? Just enough to take over the first page of Google. You can easily take over the first page of Google with one press release. Name of the target, some broad general statement. Those are the only two things people are going to remember. Okay, so we'll call it fraud coin number one, right? Fraud coin number one. And then my tagline is cryptocurrency. Okay, so any combination of search of those two terms are going to fill up the first page of Google with news articles, all basically saying the same thing. Maybe a small variant, right? Maybe one article says that we're doing business with, ABC crypto, right? Whereas the other one doesn't mention that at all, and instead says that we've secured 50,000 investors in the last 3 days. Right, but just small enough variants, but it's all still the exact same story, and that's going to fill up the first page. And honestly, if people look at 2 different articles, that's usually where they stop. Show of emotes. All right, and I'm not expecting a lot here. How many of you guys currently in chat listening to this, when doing your due diligence to look at a new investment, okay, I'm not talking about something you've already followed, but a new one that's caught your eye. How many of you guys have gone beyond the 3rd article? 3rd, show of emotes, or is it usually 1, 2, and done? There's a couple, got a few, some laughs, some I don't believe people do this without. All right, now let's flip it on its head. All right, how many of you guys who are active, all right, 1 or 2 articles and you've got enough information to take action on? And again, this is a new investment, one that you've not already been actively following. How many of you guys have found enough information that you generally think about or have taken action on 1 or 2 articles? And be honest, like this isn't a hate against you. This is just a reflection of where the market stands right now. Nobody? I find that hard to believe. Or maybe you're just realizing, hey, I shouldn't have been doing that. I find it hard to believe. It's possible, right? I worked very hard to make sure that you guys are the most educated investment group online. That's not necessarily a reflection of my current audience. I get it. You guys are definitely a step above most investment communities out there. But I want you to contemplate for just one moment. Okay, let's take this exact question and pose it somewhere like Wall Street Bets. Listen to TikTok, Wall Street Bets, can confirm. Motley Fool, yeah, Motley Fool community. That's the old school Wall Street Bets right there. And Motley Fool's not even the first one to do that. Does Wall Street Bets count as an article? Not if you said, I saw 5 posts that said the same thing about the same stock. That's not multiple sources. That's still all one source. But good call out on Motley Fool there. Thank you. All right. So there you have it. If you guys are on YouTube, you're watching this on the replay, I'm curious. Throw your comments below. Like, seriously, tell me, when is the last time you took action on your first article? Okay, this is my first level of research. I've already kind of heard about it. Now I want to read it. How many of you guys have read beyond the first article before finalizing your decision process? Okay, and this includes being dismissive. Maybe you dismissed it outright and you said, no, I don't want to invest in that based off of the first article. That still technically counts. I'm not saying you actually had to take action and buy. I'm saying you made a decision based off of just 1 article. So that's something worth considering or understanding. Some of you guys have better impulse control than others and have never reacted to your first deep dive. Congrats. Stay that way. Don't change. Others, though, if you are looking through and you found yourself on this video because, oh, fraud, it's interesting, or maybe you recently got scammed, I really, really want you to kind of take inventory of yourself in your decision-making process and understand, do you have a full picture of what's going on? Okay, and the reality is most of us haven't. Next fraud thing that comes up on the site says cloned or phishing websites. All right, I'm not going to assume the knowledge level of our audience. Most, not all, most millennials. Okay, most of us have been scammed online plenty of times. Okay, we've fallen for the clickbaity title that takes us to a never-ending loop of news articles that have nothing to do with whatever the hell it is we wanted to click on that first article for, and we can't get out of the site because it's this never-ending pop-up loop. We've put at some point our login credentials into a site, whether it's new or it's a site that we thought we knew and we came back to, and it wasn't the correct website. All right, and so now your login credentials are out there and they're clearly in the hands of somebody who didn't have the best intent. For millennials, I think it's pretty easy to say we've got a relatively good handle on internet security. Okay, I can, however, first-handedly attest to the fact that the extremes of the people that I work with in my life, so the older boomers and the Gen Alphas even, all right, so even younger than the Zoomers, the Alphas, and some Zoomers, a significant amount of Zoomers, don't get me started. They've not experienced the same thing, okay? The Zoomers and the Alphas really haven't gone beyond their smartphones and their tablets. in terms of online access. Everything's been a part of the App Store. If they have an app, then they're clicking on links in the app. So like TikTok and the different ways that they connect with social media out there. But outside of that ecosystem, they've not had PCs in front of them where they actually have to go to real websites in order to transact. And even so, right, multiple times throughout the last couple of years, there have been apps on the App Store that are stealing credentials and other personal information. But the Zoomers and the Alphas don't really care. Honestly, they don't. They don't have anything to have lost at that point of real value. So their skepticism, their hopefully built-in reactions to avoid risk aren't going to be the same as you and I. Well, millennials. I can't assume everybody watching this is a millennial. But anyways, they've not gone through the process of identifying fraud and avoiding it as we likely have at this point, because they haven't had to. Right? Most things in the app ecosystem are safe, right? Google and Apple have both done a very good job at, for the most part, not perfect, but for the most part, vetting and protecting their user base and their infrastructure, but still not perfect. All right, so understanding that. So anyways, that's a phishing site, a fake site. You've got phishing and fake apps now, okay? An app might be promising that if you use the app, they're going to mine crypto on your cell phone, right? And you'll get a piece of that. Well, what you're also losing or giving up is bandwidth and tracking, and sometimes just outright malicious code in attempt to try to steal your information or your what do you call it, identity, right? Identity theft is still a very real thing on websites. So these clones, these phishing places, these newsletters, right? It comes in the form of, hey, you're really interested in crypto, sign up here for information, and then you sign up, and then they're asking you for a little bit more information and a little bit more information, and oh, hey, if you go to this next page and you fill out this next questionnaire, we're going to grant you ABC prize, and ABC prize never comes. And that's because they're literally just trying to steal your information. This has happened in finance forever. All right. There are programs out there, believe it or not, that are predatory lenders looking for low-income folks to get into housing situations, and they will make these people who have no real business. Unfortunately, it's not necessarily through fault of their own, but if you look at the numbers, they really should not be affording the house, and they're making a promise. Oh, we'll get you into a house with 2% interest rate or something low, regardless of your credit worthiness. All you have to do is keep giving us information and come to a workshop here and go to this volunteer event. Well, it's all this pipeline that genuinely leads to absolutely nowhere, and the longer they can keep you involved, the longer they can continue to convince you that you have a chance at getting this real good deal in your first time home purchase, the more information they can collect from you. Okay? But at the end of the day, they don't care about getting you access to a house. As a matter of fact, if you look at their numbers, maybe 1% of all participants or less have actually successfully been approved for a home purchase. But they'll keep you in the program for 3-4 months, and during that time build up a really good profile on you, and then you start getting mailers at some point, right? And these mailers say, oh yeah, you're pre-approved for XYZ. Well, guess what? That mailer was them selling your information, your profile, to an advertiser. And while it's not as nefarious as taking money directly out of your pocket, they are taking time from you, lots of time, in the promise of delivering something they have no intent or no capacity to actually deliver. And so that's still a very real scam, and it happens in crypto. It happens in finances. It's always happened. So be aware of that. There are some tips on the site in terms of kind of how things work, how to avoid it. I'm just giving you some insights. And the reality is, you're not going to perfectly avoid all scams in your life. Okay? So you need a sounding board. Tip number 1 from this conversation for you. If you take nothing away from this conversation, have somewhere you can post a question to, okay? Whether it be to a family member, whether it be to a friend, legal counsel, whatever station you're at in life, Okay, you need sounding boards, somewhere to test out and say, hey, have you seen ABC before? Is it legitimate or not? Okay, that should be your first question. Verifiable. What was your experience? Okay, how much did it cost? How much time did it take? How much did you make? How much did you lose? Do you trust them? Did you find a better alternative? Literally, if more people were willing to just ask that in a public space, scams would almost go out the window. All right, because the reason scams work and they continue to work is because they make you feel like if you don't take action, you're dumb. If you have to ask, you're dumb, right? If you have to verify, you're dumb. You don't recognize the true value of what it is we're offering. That's a really normal psychological manipulative tactic that people use. All right. We faced it on the playground at some point, right? I'm going to trade you my apple for your fruit roll-up. I don't know why kids like sugar more, right? And so this is the position. And the kid with the apple comes up and he says, Jimmy offered me 2 fruit roll-ups for this apple. So you'd be dumb if you didn't just take this offer for the 1 fruit roll-up. You're lucky I'm willing to give it up for your 1 fruit roll-up. And that's a normal tactic. And it works. It works really well. I'm trying to think of like a safe laboratory-esque environment you could test that on. Try it out at a poker table, honestly. Try that manipulation at a poker table and see. Not everybody's going to fall for it. Not everybody's going to bite. Some of us have resistances built up to having dealt with that level of manipulation before. But you'd be surprised how many people still fall for that kind of stuff and make a decision that they wouldn't otherwise make just because of that little added pressure. So if you feel pressured and it feels too good to be true, don't touch it. Walk away. So there you go. That's the first thing. Next thing that comes up, fake exchanges and apps. Okay. I had a lot of people come to me talk about, I want to invest in the stock market. There's this new exchange that's giving me access to blah. All right. I hands down, without hesitation, tell folks in the US, do not buy, do not pass go, do not even give it a moment thought. All right. If it is not a primary exchange, it does not deserve your attention because nobody's coming to completely disrupt the system. That's just not going to happen. It's not the way it works. But cryptos are new. Right? Access to certain investments through cryptos is dependent upon what exchange you're participating on. All right. But an exchange has value in its ability for redundance. Okay. If something goes wrong, what plans do they have in place for redundancy to keep access alive? All right. If there's no redundancy, it's not worth your time. Okay. Too easy to close, too easy to limit, too easy to manipulate is just all things that come up in my mind as red flags. Okay. Crypto exchanges are on the rise. And the reason they're on the rise is because cryptos are popular. Okay. So you're going to have an exchange that allows you access to all of the normal stuff, plus some of the more established, not so normal stuff. And conversely, you're going to have other smaller exchanges coming out saying, hey, we're going to give you access to everything. That's our claim to fame. Well, just because you have access to literally choose any coin you want does not mean that you have safety. Does not mean that you have access or redundancy or any of the things that make a good exchange, including pricing. The bigger the exchange, the lower the fees they have to charge in order to maintain such an exchange. Okay, because if they're operating it beyond certain volume levels, then they don't have to charge everybody as much in order to come out profitable. Okay, or even break even and maintain their fees. So understanding that's the dynamic and that's what you're literally being sold on is, hey, over here on this new fancy exchange, we're going to give everybody access to everything. That's not necessarily an opportunity staring you in the face. As a matter of fact, it raises a lot more red flags and risks, right? If half of the securities, or in this case, crypto coins traded on your exchange are all fraudulent, how long do you think you're going to be able to keep investors actively participating on your exchange? Real question, like genuine, right? When investors get scammed out of their money or lose their money, most of the time they stop. It's just the reality of the way that investing works, right? Most folks get burned, walk away, and they say, it's not for me. And so if most of the stuff on the exchange is nefarious, and it doesn't have your best interests at heart, then you're going to see a bleed out of their user base, because they're literally bleeding their clients dry, all in the name of trying to make a buck. And they'll hide it behind the guise of, oh, we're making things available to you. Sure, that's great, that's a nice freedom, but not everybody is savvy enough to handle said freedoms. So that's it. That's my take on exchanges, something you should be aware of. Cloud mining scams, I touched on this just a little bit. They're basically saying that maybe you don't have the ability to mine crypto, but if you pay us, we'll buy or lease you a certain amount of production created from our own equipment. Again, it's kind of a something for nothing type of approach. Okay, what does the cloud mining operation have to gain necessarily by charging just an upfront fee to everybody who signs up for the service? Okay, the reality is there is a real payoff structure. Okay, this is the point of when cost starts to become profit. All right, this break even point in any endeavor exists, whether it's crypto or any other investment. And the thought that you can yourself purchase somebody else's work, labor, and knowledge, and eventually hit a break even point where they're just going to do everything for you and you'll just continue to rake in the money, that doesn't exist, really. You look at business partnerships, the reason why they are partnerships is because there is a give and take. There is a value to both people on the end of the proposition. Most of these cloud mining scams, if not all, are more focused on the referrals and the sign-up bonuses and all of the money surrounding that. Whereas if you look into it, their assets, how much they actually have to do the mining service for you, may not be up to snuff, right? Has it been verified? Can you verify it? Their assets, the physical computers or CPUs or however they're going about their mining, right? Do you have a way to verify that they actually have operations up and running? Okay. On the flip side, beyond that, all right, yes, there's an upfront cost for the physical machinery, but there's also maintenance costs, human labor, setup, repairs, troubleshooting. Like anybody who's done anything in tech knows that sure, some computers you can turn on and leave running forever, but other ones have problems that come up and need to be addressed on a regular basis. All right, even if you do have the plug and play computer that just seems to continue to work forever, there's still maintenance required in order to keep it running to par. Cleaning, security updates, because you got firmware for your hardware, you got software updates that may or may not break stuff, usually does. All right. So this additional ongoing cost exists for them. How can you guarantee they're always going to be able to pass profit on to you, right? Electricity, I haven't even talked about that. The cost of the actual place, okay? Once you've got a server farm up to a certain size, it takes more space. Then you've got to start thinking about cooling too, that space. So there's a lot of maintenance costs, and anything that's promising you essentially something for nothing, don't touch. Does not pass go, does not collect $200, goes straight to jail. Ponzi, pyramid, multi-level. These are all words that are not new. They've existed, okay? Essentially, anything that tells you you are going to make money because more people are going to sign up needs to be a hard pass, okay? Because even if you are an early adopter, you're not the first. You didn't come up with this idea. Somebody else is participating. Next thing is, okay, you have to understand that you are basically the scum of finance. That's the only way I can put it, right? You are leeching off of the new folks. Period. End of discussion. I don't care that you didn't found this MLM, but if you've got this scheme that incentivizes you to get your friends, your family, go out and advertise on social media and convince people to sign up in order for you to get a return, you're selling dreams. Pure and simple. You're not selling a product. You're not making anybody rich, except for maybe yourself if you're motivated enough, okay? But they're not getting rich off of the business aspect. They're getting rich off of people signing up, new money coming in, being distributed to the existing partners, and so forth. Okay, so it doesn't matter what level in the Ponzi scheme you get, okay? The higher you are, the scummier you are. Simple as that. The lower you are, the less likelihood you have of ever actually making any money off of it. And that holds true for all Ponzi, pyramid, multi-level marketing schemes. I did a deep dive on that once, and you can go watch that video. I'll try to link it, but it might not be on YouTube yet. So it might still be in queue. But there you have it. So Ponzi schemes, again, the way it works from a mechanic standpoint, all the new money coming in is paying for the returns of all of the old money who's already been there. And it will take time before that payoff and equilibrium hits. And most of them, not all, but most, find a lot of sustainability by continuing fees. Membership dues, you have to participate in a certain level of transactions in order to be eligible to receive payouts. They come up with lots of ways to hide the fact that you are required to continue to put money in order to get money out. And they're very clever about how they do that and how they layer it. But at the end of the day, if you really do just take away the math and the numbers, you're going to realize that a lot of these situations, you're in a spot to, before you can even consider making a return on these Ponzi scheme investments, you're going to have a minimum outflow of your own cash or capital going into the business before you can receive a payout. And then you look at the scale of payout, LuLaRoe, that's the clothes one, where they were buying the Lululemon knockoff tights or whatever, right? You'd pay for $50,000 in inventory up front, and you go out and you can sell, and whatever you get, you make a profit. That was the most straightforward one that I had seen in terms of cost of money in and expectation to return, because you're buying an inventory and now you have to project out how much of that inventory you've got to sell to break even, and that'll help you identify how much you can get for profit. But most of them work under the guise of the old Amway model, where if you spent, I don't know, $500, it would give you 100 points, and you had to have a minimum of 100 points in order to receive a check or a payout. And if you didn't have that minimum spend every month, then you got nothing, okay? And basically what that minimum spend guarantees is that the highest of the high are always going to have money flowing, because the top level are basically selling product to all of their distributors, okay? And it's a Ponzi scheme, because the money that's made for the top people all come from the movement of product. Everybody else below that, you're only ever going to make money by how many people you can sign up and get under you selling you. And so the same problem exists in cryptos. Just to understand that mechanic and avoid it at all cost. Fake pools, over-the-counter scams. This is normal, right? We've got an investment group. Come join us. Broadcasting group. You talk about over-the-counter. These are unlisted, unverified, unaudited assets. They exist in the stock market. I still see it on a regular basis on my stream. People will come in and ask about a stock that they heard about because of whatever news, and it's listed over-the-counter. So it has a tag, and you can see that it's traded on some exchanges and it's accessible to you, but that doesn't necessarily verify its validity as an actual asset. And the same thing is being done in the crypto space, where they're projecting out and saying, hey, you can participate in this pool, this trading group, you can get access to this order flow, or again, like we said, some of the cryptocurrencies, right? This currency is not listed on any major exchange, but it is over the counter, which means you can buy it through a major exchange, but it's still not actually a valid or viable investment. So understand that just because you can access it does not necessarily mean it is a legitimate investment. Pump and dumps. I shouldn't have to spend too much time on that as my channel is finance, and I actually have a rule in my community against pump and dump, so we talk about it on pretty regular basis. But for those of you guys here on YouTube, understand that a pump and dump, in terms of the mechanics of it, is simple. I have identified something that's not being paid attention to. Nobody's really aware that it exists. So let me take this opportunity to get a lot of hype surrounding it. Let's contact some influencers. Let's put out a news wire, and maybe I spend $2,000 buying this asset. Okay, and then I spend another $500, $600, $700 maybe on broadcasting it and getting it popular. Now I just sit back and I wait. I wait until the market excitement and exuberance takes over. Maybe I have to continue to pump it. Maybe I decide that I'm going to write a bunch of YouTube videos and talk about how I like the stock. Anyways, I'm going to set this up in such a way as to, I have entered a position, and I'm going to do my damnedest to make sure that everybody else believes that this is the best position for them as well. Okay? When it peaks, I'm out. I take my profit. And it is literally as simple as a pump and dump is. Okay? Pump and dumps generally target unknown securities, low volume, low news, etc. They're looking for something to manipulate relatively easily, whereas they can be a first mover and all but guarantee decent liquidity on their exit. Okay. And then once the hype comes and takes over, it's literally just timing the market cycle, right? Guessing what your top expectation is. Not all pump and dumpers ride it to the peak, honestly. Most of them will get out really early. First round is usually of hype is usually enough for them to say, you know what, I made enough on this. Because if you think about it, that $2,600 investment, okay, $2,000 to buy the underlying and then $600 to promote it, is really attractive to you when it doubles. Look, I turned 2,600 into 52. Bam. Enough done. I'm happy. Or you know, if they're greedy, maybe it goes up to 3,600. So double and some. Okay, those kinds of pump and dumps exist. They're generally targeting the smaller unknowns, but they are just as real of an occurrence against major holdings. Okay, it could be. Not going to say it could be. It is. Doge coin. Everybody's favorite dog on the internet is a pump and dump. Right? It doesn't have a real long-term value. That argument still has not been made for Doge. Okay? Early adopters getting in and participating are riding a hype and perpetuating said hype to the top to try to make more off of it. And I guarantee you most of the early adopters for the pump and dump are out. Now it's what's left is some of the latecomers in a situation where now they have to justify the reason why they participated in the first place, and they will continue to try to perpetuate this pump. So just be aware of that. It's a pump and dump. It doesn't have to be complete obscurity, and sometimes it can bring something obscure or that should have been obscure to the point of being a household name. So the popularity does not necessarily remove the pump and dump mechanic from the aspect. It just kind of, I would say, exacerbates the issue. It amplifies the problem. Red flags, evaluate legitimacy of ICOs. We're going to save that for another conversation and then a sum up. So that's the end of the list of the specific scams that are out there. Be careful of social engineering. Okay, that one's not talked about here. I alluded to it just a little bit when I talked about the way with which questions are presented to you. In other words, anything that makes you feel like an idiot for not participating immediately generally should be a red flag. Okay? Think about it this way. McDonald's has never and will never call you an idiot for not buying a Big Mac, because they know you come in, you want a burger, you buy a burger. So instead, they try to make the burger look tasty to you. They try to convince you how good the burger is versus everyone else, or how valuable, because it's McDonald's, right? Cheap. How valuable the burger is in comparison to the competitors. They talk about how it's going to satiate you. They don't say, well, if you don't come buy our burgers, you might as well just starve to death because you're dumb. They don't say that kind of stuff, right? But scammers do, because they know how uncomfortable that makes people. They know that clouds judgment by positioning it in such a way. I would say Jack in the Box at its peak of marketing probably could have pulled off a campaign around those lines. Eat our burgers or else you're dumb kind of approach, right? That's one brand that I think may have successfully pulled that off. But if you think about it in its broadest context, even Jack in the Box never crossed that line. Because again, it's a burger. You're either hungry or you're not. And if you're hungry, we want you to come eat what we have to offer. But the practice of making your sales target feel inferior, especially when it comes to any industry that has an emphasis on or a value on just their reputation, right? In finance, it's all about trust, right? And if they value that, then they're counterproductive in making consumers feel like idiots for not doing it. Instead, it's about ease of access. It's about cheap. It's about fulfillment. They're selling to you any type of benefit instead of telling you that you're dumb for not recognizing said benefits. They try to present them in the best light. So understand that when it comes to avoiding scams. And I'd say that that's probably my biggest tip, the second tip beyond the first one. So for tip number 2, just be aware. If somebody is pressuring you using tactics that make you feel less than for not participating, you're not missing anything from walking away. Okay, we all faced it on the schoolyard at some point, right? Some kid came up to us one day and said, "Hey, you want to be one of the cool kids? You need to do this thing." And then you express concern for safety or permission, like maybe your parents were against whatever it is you were going to do, and you're like, "My parents don't say I can do that." And then the kid comes back, and what's their retort? "Well, you're dumb, or you're chicken. All the cool kids do it," right? Any of that kind of manipulation tactic still works on adults. You're not immune to it just because you're grown up. So if you recognize these tactics, recognize that the person on the other side is that schoolyard bully trying to convince you to do something stupid. So just be aware of that. All right, that wraps it up. I think I've gone into enough depth here. So my encouragement to all of you guys on YouTube, if this didn't answer all your questions, which I highly doubt it did, because guess what I didn't tell you? I didn't tell you what wallet to go pick. If you've still got more questions and you're interested in participating in a finance community, come check us out on Discord. Come check us out on Twitch. I stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 1 p.m. till 5 p.m. Eastern. And we talk all things finance, okay? Whether it's cryptocurrency, I'll be the first to admit I am not the world's premier crypto expert, but I understand it very well. Participated in investing, and I plan on participating in the future. So I can answer questions you've got or concerns on crypto. My wheelhouse, my bread and butter is definitely going to be stocks and options. Come join us if you've got questions from that angle as well, and we will be most welcoming and eager to have you participate with us. Beyond that, I will see you all next time.